Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the set. I'm your host, Mr. A. Tonight, we have Mr. James Joyce, a.k.a. Squatch, the elusive scumbag. This gentleman is an entertainer, rapper, artist, and I wanted to bring him on the platform to talk about his musical journey, his movement. As I said earlier on in the week, Mr. Joyce is a Brooklyn-born Connecticut transplant. I like his movement, his artistry, and most of all, the fact that this rapper can really put it together. He's very creative. He's a lyrical artist, somebody who actually takes time to develop and hone his craft. And I think that in this moment, the music is stagnant. Sound like we have a bunch of special ed kids banging on the table in the lunchroom. And I have to credit that analogy to somebody I admire very much in the music industry, but it's spot on. So, with that being said, let's get this show rolling. What up, what up? As you know, your host, Mr. A. This is the set. I hope everybody's feeling well tonight. As I said in the opening, tonight is artist and rapper, entertainer, Mr. James Joyce is joining us. We're going to have a discussion about his movement and his sort of development as an artist and what he's going to be doing going forward in the future and how this all came to be. So I'm hoping for a very interesting conversation, to say the least. Understand Mr. Joyce is a very creative being, and his approach to music caught my attention, and I really don't like a lot of music today. Mainstream artists don't necessarily have the makings of what I have grown up to know and understand what makes an MC. And part of that, and a huge part of that actually, is lyricism. The creative part and the direction from which you develop has its own life. That comes from the artist. And we've seen many creative forces from the mid to late 80s up until now come into the industry. And, you take your pick of what your tastes favor. Being that I grew up watching this genre from its birth and inception, I take a certain pride when I hear people who are able to actually form solid, structured cadences on top of a creative approach. So that's my admiration for Mr. Joyce. Now, he may not be everybody's cup of tea. And what I'll say to that is, if you're listening to the shit that's out now and you're telling me that's, hip hop and that's popping and that's lit, as you young people like to say, well, I'm here to disagree with you, because what we have now is Dr. Seuss, and that's disrespectful to him. But let's move on. So, as you know, this coming week, Wednesday, we have from Jungle Bird, a Mr. Chef J. Martinez. He's going to be joining us on the set Wednesday, November 11th at 7:30 p.m. This young man, we're changing it up. We've been relegating Sunset Park Legends to Wednesdays, but we're going to change it up this Wednesday, and I'm going to bring on Chef J. Martinez because this young man has a very interesting story. It's a story of triumph and overcoming obstacles and becoming a better person and being who you are truly inside when you find your passion. So I hope everybody could join us this Wednesday, November 11th at 7:30 p.m. Jungle Bird chef, Mr. J. Martinez. Also, this coming Sunday, November 15th at 7:30 p.m., let's talk about cannabis with Chef Swan and Mark Alfinez. As I said last week, Chef Swan is the host of a show called High End Cooking. It's on hiatus now, but the content is still up. And if you go check it out, you'll learn all sorts of cooking techniques and dishes using cannabis. And I know everybody, well, almost everybody loves cannabis nowadays. So check them out. High End Cooking on YouTube. Mark Alfinez is a retired Army veteran who got into the corporate side of cannabis. Super knowledgeable, very smart, understands and can see what the future holds for cannabis. So we're going to have him come on and give his perspective to the whole topic. So again, Sunday, November 15th, 7:30 p.m., let's talk about cannabis with Chef Swan and Mark Alfinez. All right. I hope everybody's feeling good tonight. All the comments, you can just post them up in the chat. I'll highlight them as we go along with the discussion. But before we start, I just want to play a little clip of our guest tonight. And I know I posted this in our last show, but I just want to play it again, just so you can familiarize yourself with who's coming on. And again, remember, as I said, he may not be your taste, but I think after tonight, everybody's going to change their tunes a bit. So check out James Joyce. So like I said, the brother's super creative, and you know, you have to applaud that. We need difference. And he holds the beat, and I don't even want to carry on anymore about this gentleman. Let's get to know him tonight. The set welcomes the elusive scumbag, Mr. James Joyce.
Hey, what's going on, people? Thanks for inviting me. You know what I'm saying? I like how the elusive scumbag sounds with a lot of people saying it. You know, it's audible chocolate to the ears. You know what I mean?
Ah, that's a new approach right there. Audible chocolate. All right. So people, somebody in the room is saying that they can't hear us, that we're too low. So let's jump into our prefaces real quick, just to make sure that we have. I hear you well, but let me just make sure that everything is set to where it needs to be. All right. Let me change this. I guess I was acting real hasty. Let me turn this up. Let's see. I hope anybody in the room that cares to let me know, is that any better? Because I want to make sure that everybody can hear what we're going to be talking about. I would hate to have that happen. Oh, look at this. Mr. Mark Manuel, looking forward to being on the set. Well, we salute you, Mr. Manuel, because we're looking forward to engaging you and you giving all the information to the people. Awesome. Let's see. All right. Cool. Everybody hears us now. So once again, Mr. James Joyce, the elusive scumbag. Mr. Joyce, how are you tonight?
I'm good, man. Just, getting dinner and all that shit, prep with the family, got my drink on and everything. So I'm feeling nice for a Sunday.
Awesome. So let me ask you a question. I've been on your YouTube channel. You have so many different variations to how you approach your music, and none of the videos that I've watched of you seem to be the same. And I appreciate that. So where does your inspiration come from? Where do you get all of your creative juices when you're approaching music?
I don't know. It's like it's partially it's partially like a whole gumbo pot of like fucking emotion. You got like, whether it's like current events, whether it's just like trying to test yourself and sharpen the blade. It really depends on like what and who I'm working with as far as like what the outcome of the ordeal is going to be. I pride myself in not putting myself in a box. And
Yes.
as soon as you put yourself into that, or like, you get caught into it, that's when you lose the freedom as an artist to delve into other things with your own fan base. So as long as people know that, I'm not solidified in anything, you know,
Cookie cutter.
concrete, that they'll be in for a nice journey. You know what I'm saying?
All right. I'm curious now because I know you were originally born in Brooklyn,
Hmm.
and now you're in Connecticut. What part of Connecticut are you in?
Right. Yeah, we in Waterbury, Connecticut.
Oh
That's
shit.
where the whole thing is based out of and shit, Got little spots in between, but the whole headquarters is based out of Waterbury, Connecticut.
Shout out to Waterbury. Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yes. So before we fast forward, I want to jump backwards. So how do you go at from birth basically? How do you go from Brooklyn and ultimately ending up in Connecticut? Like, what was the situation? You,
It was just, a whole classic cliche case of like moms trying to give the son the good life, you know what I
okay.
mean, and shit like that. So, I went from we grew up mainly between Skull Street and St. John's as far as Bushwick. So it's like, you were in there, and I didn't really have a lot of freedom. You know what I mean? I had to I had to be kind of like boxed in as far as like, just, everything is all gunshots and fucking crackheads and shit like that. So, we can't have you influenced by any of this wild shit. So we're going to keep you in a fucking room like a colorful prison. You know what I mean? And afterwards, it was just like, you know what, we're gonna actually go out to a spot where I could walk out the fucking house and and feel marvelous. You know what I mean? But that
Yeah.
was the whole shit as far as the move goes. Like I have a good half of my whole life in Waterbury as well as Brooklyn and even a little bit of Queens when we lived out in Astoria.
All right. Has any of that? Well, how much of uh, that part of your upbringing? Because everything that we go through and deal with coming up influences not only who we are, but when you're an artist, it bleeds into your artistry.
Hmm.
So, has that portion of your life ultimately, in some way, shape, or form, also shaped how you approach music?
Yeah, to a degree. It was funny because when we was out in New York, I was hearing all the like basically like the mecca of hip hop. Like I was surrounded. I had like the pun. I had like the fucking boot camp click. Back when that joint, you would be able to find like music videos of these dudes on fucking Time Warner cable. I remember that shit specifically with battles and all that shit.
Right.
But like, it would be more entertainment at that time, and I was more of a fan, not really like grasping, wanting to write because I
Mm-hmm.
had like really weird. All I grew up around was like miscellaneous gangsta hardcore music or just like Spanish music that I did not understand at the time growing up. Which was like, it was great to be able to get a little bit of rhythm at that point, but man, when you're just hearing the same shit on repeat almost, or at least it feels like repeat because you don't
Yes.
understand the shit.
Yeah.
So, that's something I've been working with over the years. But, music became really mundane at one point. Like I used to be this little old ass man as a child, like, just like, yo, turn that racket off. You know what I mean? And afterwards, it's basically like a funny thing I always say. Now you became part of that problem. You know what I mean? Now
Yeah.
you're in that cycle. So, it's something cool at least that comes from it.
Well, let me ask you a question. Because you said that you were listening to Spanish music and you couldn't understand. I can also relate to that.
Hmm.
So how does where does that come from? I'm assuming you're half Latino or you're Latino all the way or
No, yeah, I'm half. So I'm Puerto Rican and Irish.
holy
And yeah,
American.
yeah, yeah. So
Wow.
my mom's is Puerto Rican and my father's like full-blooded Irish dude from just like New York and shit. You just
Okay.
don't got orange hair and the shillelagh shit going on. So
That was
you,
going to
you
be my
gotta
next one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we I'm over 6 feet, so we ain't got no leprechaun genes and shit like that. I'm more on the other side of the mythical creature realm.
Okay. So do you feel now that you're obviously older, and do you feel like any connection to or appreciation for that side, that musical side?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
A lot of the
Okay.
samples that I used to go for originally came from like older Spanish music. I was like a sucker for Spanish guitar, anything that had like I think Carlos Santana was the first person that I actually heard like, vividly as far as like, yo, this motherfucker could play. Like he got me in the guitar, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And just all the other music in between that had that melody from it and just certain understanding of a beat, you know what I mean, and just like how certain beats really need to get a crowd moving, or like I don't know, just like kind of both not staying still. It's like you want to write shit that people listen to but can also vibe to. You know what I mean? And
Right.
like that's where the understanding the balance of that spectrum really is.
Okay. So now let's talk about where it actually starts. When do you actually come to your realization that this love of the music is a lot more deeper than what initially understood about yourself as an artist? What's the turning point? When do you turn the corner and go, you know what, I'm gonna start writing because I feel like I got something to say?
So it's weird. Like I feel like I have like probably the strangest story when it comes to like musical development and the trajectory of it. But it's like I started, like I said, hating music. And when I first actually started writing it, everything was a parody, basically. It was like some Weird Al Yankovic version, of like of any normal song or something at that point. Because like once I think the first thing I heard, literally like bringing it back to like the Time Warner cable times. Like I remember just being stuck at getting grounded at one of my aunt's cribs and fucking, just going through the music section of that and like finding, like I said, Boot Camp and all these other joints and literally bumping Weird Al, Amish Paradise and shit like that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, this dude remixed the hell out of Coolio's Gangsta Paradise in a fucking hilarious way. And I was
Right.
bumping that shit to a degree almost a little more than the original, as fucking strange as that is. But I had I had like a little bit more appreciation of like making fun of it. And then afterwards I'm like, yo, like I'm starting to get a little bit of rhythm with this and like kind of getting a certain momentum. I was like, I might fuck around and take it a little bit serious.
Hmm.
And that's what actually spawned me writing like newer songs and like trying to give yourself like the whole like starter kit of an artist, like giving yourself your fucking names and what
Right.
you're trying to do, your little mission statements and things like that.
Hmm.
So like that, I would say that would be the spawn because it was like literally it went from hating music. The first thing I ever heard that really started like making me bump shit, like outside of like the random beats that I was hearing, was "Sorry Miss Jackson" by Outkast.
Yes,
And I
sir.
remember hearing that shit and seeing the music video with all the cats, like, to the beat, the dogs and shit like that. I was like, yo, this shit is fire. Me as a young ass kid, literally, I remember the time of that spot. And I was like, yo, I'm going to write the time down. Every time I go to this station, it's going to play this fucking song. Like, like just straight up out there kind of fucking thinking, like, yeah, all right, this is the way it works. This is the way life works. But yeah, like that's what got me into music, and then everything else was just like picking things up as I got, more inclined into hip hop. You know what I mean?
Right. Do you remember about how old you were at that time? Like
I
15?
want to say like ballpark range anywhere between like eight and like 10, as far as like listening to music, but actually writing it would probably be like 14. You know
14.
what I mean?
Okay. So now you realize you have this sort of somewhat of a passion for music now. You
Mhm.
starting to write, you're taking a very comedic sort of approach because of your inspiration behind Weird Al Yankovic. You see Outkast, for which Miss Jackson, I mean, that demonstrates just what lyrical ability is about to craft that song, right?
Hell yeah. Hell
So,
yeah. That was
so
my shit, especially like being on the East Coast and hearing the Southern shit. You know, like I swear that was the weird. I'm like, yo, as an adult looking back, I'm like, yo, it's crazy to think that like Southern music really started it. You know what I mean? But it was all East Coast based as far as everything else afterwards.
but still hip hop. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
When
Yeah,
it's
that's
hip
the
hop,
universal beauty of it.
exactly. Like I remember as a teenager, there was a group that I liked called Divine Styler out of the West Coast. And if you look them up, super flamboyant. This is like a special time in hip hop called the golden era.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you look them up, they have a track called "Saying Nothing," and it's way different, right? But super creative, and what the artist is putting together lyrically for that time, it was just crazy. So I can definitely connect the two and understand how the inspiration can come.
Hmm.
So, people, if you're just joining us, I'm your host, Mr. A. This is the set. Tonight we have the scumbag, Mr. James Joyce. And he's talking about his journey into music and his inspirations, how it all started. And we're going to continue the conversation with this question. So, you have all these realizations, right? Now, do you remember what was your first exposure to touching the mic? Was it battle? Was it in the studio? Or were you just doing it for somebody to get their ear and see if they liked what they were hearing?
Oh man, once I figured out like obviously liking it and like, once you write, you want to start seeing the fruits of your labor fucking grow. So like I wouldn't even call this a studio. If I say studio, it's always with air quotations. You know what I mean? But like we had them it was like them $10 fucking mics that you would see that came with certain computers. Like, I forgot what exactly the name of the microphone was. I know
Mm-hmm.
that we found Windows Sound Recorder, where that shit literally only records a minute worth of your fucking of the thing, and you had to literally click the fucking button. So we weren't even using programs the way they were at that time. We literally had the fucking speakers next to the microphone and just like being there, like, trying to read your shit or memorize your shit and click the button as soon as that shit hit the minute mark. Because if you fuck that up, then everything was ruined. But that was like the dawn of fucking like, learning the ropes of fucking of the recording game and that whole fucking process. But
Mm.
it was wild, man. It was wild.
Do you remember what your first reception was like when you actually like performed? And no matter the setting, but do you remember the first? How
It
was it?
was it was honestly great for a fucking sloppy ass set. You know what I mean? As far as being out there and stuff, like,
Mm-hmm.
dude, I had a fucking this curly ass like I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, but like I know my first show I had a pair of red Dickies on, this terrible graphic like tee of like what the name of the group was at the time. Yo, like your boy had like some like sad excuse for like new age Jerry curl. That's like the only thing I could say. It's like without the product, it was some like long ass curly hair under the fucking hat, like barely developed facial hair. The shit was terrible as far as the image of it, but I got a
Mm.
great response.
Really?
And it was like as soon as I got that was the fucking bug. I'm like, yo, that's solidifying, keeping things moving. Like anything else is gonna just be upwards. You know what I mean?
Right, right. So, well, let me ask you because you said group. What were you with another MC, or was it just like you, a DJ? What was the situation?
So yeah, I mean, in the beginning, I feel like every person that starts normally gets around a couple friends, and like friends try to like leak their interest or like absorb some of yours with it. You might start like writing with you and things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
like, it's nobody that's really like out there. And then like when I started recording and learning how to actually like do the programs and shit like that, it's actually one of my cousins through marriage out here through my mom's and her husband's side. So it was like he was
Mm-hmm.
showing me the whole ropes of
Okay.
the recording and things like that. And we wound up just doing shit as a group
Mm-hmm.
because we were just around each other a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and shit like that spawned a lot. But that was like, you know, that was like probably like the start of just like I said, like taking it serious and like learning how to brand, even though it wasn't like the whole mission statement as it is now, but like, you know, learning the direction and the fundamentals was like with him and stuff. So I give that
Right.
a lot of props.
It was the name, like, did you go by a different moniker back then?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I want to
Dude,
hear
I used to
this.
go, yeah, I used to go by Insanity. And before that, when I first started writing, it was some corny ass shit that I just won't even repeat because I'm trying to keep a little bit of dignity for myself.
Come on,
You know what
give
I
us the
mean?
exclusive, B.
Ah, it,
No,
ah,
no pressure, no pressure.
no, I can't. It's like, you know, if I say it too quick, people are gonna look at me like, yo, this guy will buckle under pressure. You know what I mean? Like, I got to keep some level of street cred. You know what I
All
mean?
right. I won't.
So
I won't
I
press
can't
you for
even
that.
say it now that I said I don't want to.
I,
But you
I,
know, it was it was fucking it was insanity trying to be this like psychotic motherfucker at the time, and then just, you know, I moved up toward the more natural I felt approach that I wanted to be, which is what you see now.
right. It's crazy that you say that because anybody listening to your music and hearing your explanation of it, you know, if they don't understand artists and they go by the wave or, you know, what everybody else is following, what's considered to be the norm, you know,
Exactly.
they would not understand, you know, your approach and your delivery, right? So for me, after watching a few of your videos, I reached out to you. We had this quick conversation, and I asked you, hey, you know, I like what I hear and see, but could you? And I sent you a audio clip. Could
Hmm.
you actually rock over this? And for everybody that's watching, I had sent him the instrumental to "Ain't No Nigga."
Hmm.
So if if
Jay-Z.
if nobody, anybody watching the show has to know what that is, but that's the beat for the Jay-Z and Foxy Brown joint. So Mr. Joyce then returned the favor and said, "Hey, I actually did a mixtape, I believe, and sent me a snippet where he rocked over the instrumental for You, Me, Him, and Her by Jay-Z and Emil and Memphis on there? Yeah, Bleak was on there.
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah. So just to sort of wrap this up in a bow, the reason why I appreciated his artistry even more was I have seen artists of today who are super popular, who are getting immense amounts of money, who I consider to be unworthy as to be called an MC, and they refuse to do things like that. Those aren't MCs. And Mr. Joyce here immediately answered my question when asked and proved to me that he is a true MC. So I want everybody to take note of that, first off. So when you see his music, again, his approach and his creativity is super original. So I would ask everybody to take the time at some point or another to go check him out. But so now
Much
you,
appreciated. Much appreciated.
yeah, for sure. So now you have your first show, your first exposure. You feel this sort of elation, if you would. You feel the satisfaction. You're like, yo, I want to do this more.
Hmm.
Where do we go from there? Like, what's the next steps for you after that show?
So basically, like once I got acclimated and like learning about, like I said, like I want to say like my first live show was in Connecticut, and
Okay.
it was crazy because it was just like walking in the door and like going with with like I said, my cousin. I'm just like, yo, this shit is a fucking coffee house. I'm like,
You did the
you
open
literally
mic.
got some hipster, yeah, you got some hipster over there with some fucking suspenders on, ordering a fucking a coffee beverage that is like fucking 8 syllables. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck am I about to walk into? And I don't got a ride. I'm too young. I didn't have a whip at the fucking time. You know what I
Wow.
mean? So I'm like, I felt kidnapped in this whole different city and shit like that. So once we get into the building and I'm actually starting to notice, like, okay, so this whole other side is dedicated to the show.
Hmm.
And that's when I started really getting the essence of like hip hop, where the fuck it, you know, the ground up being of it, you know. So that's when I'm like watching this DJ and he's like prepping his shit up and it's like he's doing this whole little like practice scratch set and I'm just like, yo, what the fuck am I listening to? Like, like I think it was the first blend I ever heard in my fucking life. And I just like for the life of me right now, I can't remember what the two songs and shit were, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm just yo, this is fucking hot, yo. And then it goes into like, all these other people. And like, it's funny because it's like one of the dudes that I seen at that very first show, I'm a part of a group with right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that just like, like I said, just, once I seen the ground up and and the real rawness of it. And like, once they did their little corny, real setup and getting and stuff like that. And then that show started, it was like, that's when the fucking bug hit you, man. Like you couldn't go no farther unless you were on that stage with these people or these people on stage had to know who the fuck you were.
Right.
So like literally it just went from trying to like scope out open mics as much as you could. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Like I was like a creep in the corner, like with the trench coat, just like literally just like studying and taking notes and shit like that. Like I said, and just figuring out when and where, like, learning etiquettes when they got this one drunk motherfucker trying to freestyle over other songs being played by the bar. It's like, all right, no, not to be that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? But like, I just sat there and like I was a student. I always kept the mind of a fucking student. So I'm just sitting there and just like observing and watching. And like once I built up like what I needed to add to my craft, it was just like found that open mic and started having little attention from all these motherfuckers around me. Like, oh, okay, you can spit. And I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I gotta get on your stage next, and
Mm-hmm.
that was basically the start.
People, if you're just joining us again, this is Mr. A. This is the set. We have Mr. James Joyce, the elusive scumbag, with us tonight. And he is, I can definitely give him a salute because he's sipping. And I'm just sipping on fucking apple juice. But
Nah.
I hope everybody's enjoying the show. All right, so now we've covered all the beginnings. You're hitting these open mics. Now, at this point in time, are we in? Have we put a full mixtape together? Like, what are we doing to promote the sound? Are we just hitting all the open mics? Have we recorded it? Like, what's going on in this moment with you? For
Yeah.
in that moment.
Yeah, no, we definitely had like shit out. And I
Mm-hmm.
would, I was actually learning real quickly. I was learning the business as far as overseas.
Okay.
So it's like a lot of the people that I got, the greatest and worst part of my generation is the internet.
Yeah.
And as far as how much you can push and like, how much is out there. But like
Yep.
I learned literally during the MySpace times, like I said, when I was recording on some whack ass shit and I was still getting like fucking tens of thousands of plays because I knew about forums and going on certain websites and certain like blog spots and shit like that were really popping at the time and getting myself acclimated to just like public criticism and all the shit that comes with it basically. You know what I mean? As far as putting your stuff out.
Right.
And that would basically be, excuse me, I'm a little,
No.
but it's like that. I know like that was basically the start of the promotion. At that point under Insanity, I had one project, which is like, you got to dig, but it's called the Bitter Winds LP. And that was like the very first thing that I recorded, like with myself, with like people in my fucking high school, that just anything that I could as far as building in connections and people with studios, certain people that produce. Cause like, I think I had like my first beat that I bought was from a cat out in UK,
Mm-hmm.
fucking, literally sampling like Ari the Rugged Man and fucking Master Killer and some other shit. I forgot what the fuck it was, but just like it was just all the shit that I was picking out through like overseas and like people that I connected with through the internet. So like you had it there, but it was like a lot of it did get lost through the websites, which to a degree I'm grateful for. I don't want
Right.
that being impression. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like just trials and getting the tomatoes thrown at me at the fucking court and shit before I got to the actual, master of ceremonies kind of fucking act. So. And we still ain't shit, so I'm still growing,
See, ladies and gentlemen, you got to appreciate the fact that James doesn't take himself too seriously, which is evident. and the respect that he has for the craft and his approach and his grind. I think that also builds a lot of character. Being able to listen to fans or would-be fans that would offer up criticism or critique his work. It's something not many people have the skin for on the come up, and that's why a lot of people shy away from that. But as you can see here, Mr. Joyce, it sounds like he's definitely built for this shit. So now, with that being said, that part of you has sort of dissipated, and now you've taken the next step. Along the way in this journey, how many, or if any, did you lose connections with maybe people that you worked with, or maybe separated from people due to creative differences?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
That comes with any other territory within the art realm, man. Like fucking people either grow with you or you grow the fuck away. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, if you were a butcher, they would call it trimming the fucking fat. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like it's just like not, if you were a gardener, it's weeding the fucking shit so that any of the real plants that need the fucking attention aren't, fucking all these parasites around them just draining their shine. Like
Yeah.
it was a great thing in the beginning, like especially when you got the innocent, like the
Rose-colored glasses.
I call them a starter kit eyes. Cause like, we
Okay.
all have that fucking dream of what we think it should sound. Like, you going into the fucking a shitty ass studio that you made for like under $50 fucking and thinking, but it's the fucking art that counts, like
Yeah.
people ain't gonna care about how it sounds. Like, but I remember just going through all that shit and just like, ah man, just sorry. But
No, no.
it's, just that shit dissipating through the fucking whole process. But like within that, and seeing the certain people that I gained allies, the people that I started watching, like I said earlier, that
Mm-hmm.
became my peers. Like
Right.
it just goes to show that I'm not doing the wrong thing. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
so, you're gonna go through growing pains no matter what. If you don't, then you're complacent and you're comfortable being that way.
Yeah. People, you got to really appreciate this guy because, you know, there's no formalities. It's all real. And if everybody who's watching the show, you can notice James doesn't even give a fuck about sitting himself squaring the shot so that you can see his face. You see, he's just dipping in and out, and you see, it's all good. And that's, again, the realness is what's appreciated. There's no fucking preconceived like etiquette or it's whatever. So you go through that going process. You leave your first sort of, I want to say, character or part of who you were as an artist to the wayside. You trim some of the fat. You prune some of the weeds. When do you reach the point of now I'm Squatch? Like how does that come to be?
So basically, once I got through and like started like the local shit, basically, once I felt like I gave myself the local goals and fucking the same people that I felt inspired by in the local realm that,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, became my peers or have been like trying to get me a part of their mission and shit like that. Like once I seen that, it was it was basically the descent into something much bigger because it's like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I said, like my people right now, which is like, we're going through a little transition as far as a name goes again, but we've been known as Nightbreed for almost 9 years. It's crazy as fuck to say that shit.
Wow, that's commitment.
Yeah, man. And like,
Yeah.
it started literally being in the battle scene and just having a bunch of people that knew how to hold their weight, that wanted to rep, the same kind of fucking style and brand. You know what I mean? And like, and that's
Mm-hmm.
a shout out to White Shutter and Donnie Menace. Like those are my brothers. Like blokes from another scroll, all that shit. Like these people, these people have been a part of my fucking my whole journey musically, from my first fucking projects to like where I'm at right now and where we all are at together. You know what I'm saying? But like
Mm-hmm.
if I didn't go through the shit that I did, trying to either emulate what I was getting through the Nightbreed sound for my own shit, because that is definitely something I got recruited for through Donnie Menace.
Okay.
And you know, if I didn't go through all the bullshit that I did as far as trying to make that or just trying to make myself the most independent and like, you know, a contributor rather than a fucking leech, because we're always surrounded by leeches. You know what I mean? And if I die, I want to be able to say I gave more than I took. And
Okay.
that's just the whole shit that the whole mission I live with my whole fucking life. So once I was able to build that and not only prove to the people that I wanted to prove it to, but gain allies from it,
Mm-hmm.
then you know that was again like that was solidifying the whole start of that journey and moving forward with these people.
Mm. Wow. So you mentioned the battle scene.
Hmm.
Was that also part of the journey? Were you like getting in ciphers and battling?
Oh hell yeah, man! Because the beginning,
Oh,
before I was
okay.
able to do an open mic, I had to sit there and like I said, I was you know just creeping basically, and like you would be by a show, and then all these motherfuckers would either start a cipher in the back or like you know when that one drunk dude actually did get the other dude to like start rapping that knew how to rap. You were like, all right, let me just showcase this to whoever the fuck I can at a certain point, you know, like it was
Right.
shameless self promotion and.
Mm.
That's where I learned basically just like getting all that rust off as far as just like jumping in a fucking cipher or jumping into a show. Like that knocked out all the essence of what would be a stage fright. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Like if you could just jump in and insert yourself in any fucking cipher or any show and like, you know, if you got a motherfucker that just like, oh, I want to be the hottest verse in this fucking cipher. Even if
Mm.
it's just trying to prove it to a bunch of drunks around you, right? Like they want to be the hottest one to these motherfucking drunk people or these like, you know, ladies or whatever around them. But once you start seeing that this guy's trying to do another verse to top yours, it's a wrap. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And we had this league that the very first league that really started, it was like, it was Connecticut Battle League out here. And it spawned into what's called I Battle today.
Okay.
Still doing great as far as numbers and stuff like that. It's a good contributing and like contender when it comes to like King of the Dot fucking URL, like Don't Flop, all those other shits. Like, you know,
Wow.
it's hosted a lot of good battles that are like of that tier. And we were a part of that come up. So like I got to not only grow with that brand in the very beginning, but like, you know, solidify myself into it from the start.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I learned a lot about my shit through, you know, I took losses there my damn self. I'll never sit there and be shameful about that. But
Right.
it also made me a fucking, you know, 3 times as more savage as I would have thought I was on paper. Because once you get that
Right.
one win, it's like it's gladiators, man. It's like common day gladiators. Bro. Like, you just show the fucking head up to the camera. You're not entertained, like, and you know, you just feel yourself on a whole nother fucking high you never thought of, yo.
I'm
So
sure.
we were
We,
chasing. I was definitely chasing that shit with the team for a minute up until it got more like political and fucking soap opera. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't even know how to describe that shit now.
wow. Well, being that you were part of that movement, is that something you would ever consider to revisit just because if you felt like, you know what, I need to let these motherfuckers know that I'm still with this. Like I'm still with the shits and I can give you some lashes if you need them.
Oh,
Cuz I
absolutely. No,
you know,
yeah, absolutely, yo. Like that'll you can never take that. And I feel like if you any true artist that has that competitive nature still alive is one of those people that are staples of hip hop or any genre of music to this day. You know
mhm.
what I mean? Because just like we got our battles, like you go to the rock side, they got battles with the fucking bands. You got people with accordions going fucking crazy at each other. You know what I mean? Like there's always competitive nature in art or in anything in our lives. If somebody can be good at it, there's going to be somebody that wants to be better.
Of
So
course.
you know, like it just all depends on if the terms are right. You know, money has to be involved. I'm not about to sit there and pull on court jester shit like I used to and not be able to, you know, get myself some nice shit after that fucking battle.
For
And
sure.
and that's just how it is, you know, like I don't understand the people that don't do anything other than battle. Because
Right.
to this day, I think that's an anomaly that is just like, you know, like why the fuck get all these fans and then not have anything else to do with them other than risk your image? You know what I mean? Like get some motherfucking music out there. People
Yeah.
obviously know you're capable, but you know, that's a trap that comes within battling, and that's why a lot of that stigma comes with like think of how many battle rappers that you know that you bump regularly. There's a
That was
very few amount that in my
that,
head that will still be in my playlist, you know?
that was the next thing I was going to tell you. There's very few battle rappers, very few battle rappers that I know of that I could say, "Hey, I got that joint they did,"
Hmm.
or do I really even want to hear that guy on a track? You know, for me, you're only battle material. You know what I mean? There's very few guys that can really make that transition,
And
right?
that's what I mean by just being stuck in that box, man. Like you never want to be in a fucking box as an artist, because like when, like I said, art's emotionally based. So it's like if
Right.
I feel like, all right, I'm a little bit more outside the realms of wanting to fucking brutally demolish some motherfucker, you know what I mean? Like I might want to rap about something happy. I might be in a good fucking mood. You know, I might have a melody in my fucking head. Like you want to be able to have that freedom and not have all these people that you just watered and catered to as a fucking entertainer to get your fans to then cannibalize you. I've watched so many people get cannibalized by the people they devoted their whole fucking lives towards. And I gotta learn. I gotta learn from that shit, bro. Like,
Well, you know, that's all, like you said earlier, that's part of the process. You know, when you're taking the sword to the stone and you do it daily, after a while, that sword is just razor sharp. You know, you could cut through steel, right?
absolutely.
And it's a beautiful thing that, you know, you have the dedication and the passion to stay focused, because the minute that you start fucking around and not taking shit seriously, that young boy's gonna come behind you and wash you up in front of everybody, right? Reason behind why I asked you, would you ever consider going back? Because it's competitive,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh
So,
yeah.
but speaking to how you may want to do some happy shit, ugh, your music, again, from what I've seen, I'll put this out there. There's stories, right? So when I look at some of your joints, I feel like I'm watching a sitcom or a drama sort of blended together, right?
Hmm.
Because you have the ability to paint these pictures. At the same time, I ask myself, man, could I hear James Joyce, you know, doing a Mary J. Blige joint? Like, you know what I mean? Mary
Yeah.
singing the hook, and you know what I mean? You're narrating, right? Is that something that you? I mean, I know you're capable as an MC, but I mean, every MC has a certain lane they see for themselves, or they'll look at something and go, "Nah, I'm not fucking with that." So, I guess my question is, do you feel like you have the ability to go in any direction? Like, we're gonna make a pop record. Would you fuck with it? Or we're gonna make an R&B remix. Would you fuck with it? Is, you know?
See, that's the funniest, like in the beginning, if like you asked me that question, like let's say 5 years ago, I would
Mm-hmm.
have told you like, nah, I would have probably made a whole new alias. You know, like people that knew the Squatch James Joyce like would not know this motherfucker, and like they would not know that these two are together. But like
Right.
I'm like, fuck it. Again, that goes to the whole like putting yourself in a box, and I'm like, I will not willingly put myself in a coffin. You know what I mean? Like that's the way I look at the box, so to say. And it's like I will not willingly walk in my own fucking coffin. You're placed in your coffin.
Right.
Like I can't do it. And like I've wrote in R&B joints. I've wrote fucking things like more conscious fucking because it like it all depends on what I'm feeling at the time. Do I know that I have a specific lane and that
Mm-hmm.
I might have more fans that cater to this specific content? Absolutely.
Right.
But that's the whole thing of like even letting those people that are like even my most diehard fans, I think know that I will not just do that. You know
Okay.
what I mean? Like I'm gonna sit there and like when they get the next album or the next song that pops up, they got something to look forward to because it'll be a mixed bag. I might be feeling a little more melodic on this joint. I might be
Mm-hmm.
feeling more fucking punchline heavy and just like aggressive. You know what I mean on this next joint, like. it's all about the story that I'm trying to tell at that moment, you know, and like it's like if I was a person that was even a listener, like I could not have a whole like think of them old ass entertainment racks just filled with the CD
Uh,
slots and shit like that. Now imagine even with hip hop that being one solid genre, like whether it was horrorcore, whether it was fucking like conscious hip hop where everything is most deaf and fucking Q-tip. You know what I mean? Even after a while, you know, you want to fucking break something. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna have that mood my entire fucking life. So you know, like you use the word narrator. That's like
right,
the best thing that I could say myself. Like what I would be. I'm a narrator to
right,
whatever stories are locked up inside this fucking tight ass beanie cap right now. You know what I'm saying? Like that. I'm just the mouthpiece. You know, and everything else. You know, you're just along for the fucking ride.
See, people, if you're just joining us tonight, I'm your host, Mr. A. This is the set, and we have Mr. James Joyce, aka Squatch, and Mr. Elusive Scumbag joining us. So, what you just said leads me to another well, not direction, but sort of the same pocket, if you would. I think that rappers, MCs, and artists for hip hop have a problem, and that problem is they don't understand the Madonna effect. Now, what I mean by that is, I'm not a huge Madonna fan, right?
Mhm.
But I've been alive to watch Madonna start and reach to where she is now.
Mhm.
And something that I found interesting about Madonna is every time she came out, it was some next shit. You understand? You know, she had a song, Starlight, Star Bright, Next Star. You remember that shit? You're probably too young,
Yeah.
but yeah. So that was like clubby, Lucky Star. That was the name of the song.
Mhm.
So she started out in that sort of wave, like clubby music, right? And then as she went on to her next joint, it changed a little bit. But after that second and third and fourth, everything was something different, right? It was just something completely different. So you never got stuck, like you said, in the box. And I feel like rappers or artists in hip hop miss out on that, on the Madonna effect. Now, some of them create their lane, right? And they're amazing at it, and it works over time. The one person that has been able to do that, create that lane, and it works, is somebody who just dropped an album, Busta Rhymes.
Yeah.
And Busta made his own lane, but he is also flexed on other people's joints, letting them know, listen, I'm not the dude with the big sunglasses and crazy suits and riding
Mhm.
around in cartoon cars. I will get in that ass. Pause.
Yup. Yup.
So I see that your music and even now, so with your personality, people will get a full understanding of your music and artistry and creative approach. Now, in this moment, we're in COVID. Everything's locked the fuck down. I can't imagine what you're going through. I know I'm going crazy to a degree. What has been keeping you creative in this sort of moment? Is there anything that's helped?
Oh man, it's literally the last joint that I dropped, which is Dapper Scumbag Reality Check Cashing.
Mm,
Fucking, this is the first album that I put together professionally in my own home.
okay.
And it was like, I'm not even bullshitting, a week before the pandemic got confirmed.
Mm,
I've been going through bullshit all my life in the beginning of my artistry with like janky ass like studio and like sound engineers as far as like you have people holding your songs hostage, or if you're paying your shit up front, they just suddenly forget, like, you know, how to fucking utilize their skills and stuff like that. So you had to learn the scumbags in the business as well, you know. So and the dishonor that comes with that shit. Oh shit, where'd you go? You all right? You still here? Oh
I'm here.
shit.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm here.
Oh my bad, my bad.
Every now and then, when the interview gets good, I happen to click something and I get kicked out of the room. Sorry about that.
No, no, it's cool, it's cool. Shit, what was that? Fucking but yeah, like I had to learn all that bullshit as far as like being self-sufficient. And it's like,
Hmm.
yo, this dude, Donnie Menace, man, like from the beginning and like that I've known him, he's always recorded himself. He's always been like a self-sustaining machine as far as like keeping himself like, everything. He never had a middleman. Even when he had middlemen, he kept it himself. You know what I mean? So it's always
Right.
been like, it's always been like more of an inspiration. But I'm like, let me try it this way. Let me try it this way. Once I learned that little fucking shit, of just like, yo, suck it the fuck up. I wound up just copping a whole studio
Hmm.
like on the spot, basically.
Hmm.
And right, right when I did it, a week after the pandemic hits, everything that I was chasing was shows and just putting myself out there to the public. Cause I was more of a like chasing a public high. I always liked the feeding off of the energy of the people around me and shit like that. And like, that's the kind of the shit that I chase as an entertainer.
Right.
So once that got shut the fuck down,
Mm.
and it basically left anybody that did that kind of shit either psychotic, depressed, and anything else in between. I was like, yo, had all the things that I needed in front of me. So I was like, yo, I kept it, and I had literally had my project done. It was written within a month of the pandemic, maybe a month and a half, and recorded within 2 months.
Wow.
So like literally by the third month, which I want to say what, March, April, May. It was like between May and June, I had everything fucking set. Like
Okay.
being put out to do the distribution and getting everything for like iTunes and all that other bullshit. But best thing that ever fucking happened to me. The
Okay.
worst thing was the pandemic. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it showed me a whole nother lane of self-sustaining as an artist. Like
Right.
I would have never bought this shit earlier up until I had my last like freak out because one of these dudes that I had doing my fucking music became a fucking just out of nowhere heroin junkie. So I was like, oh damn, like he got hooked on that shit, and then my money went to his veins and not my actual fucking product. So I was like,
Wow.
but again, like I got to make sure I got as much control over my shit as possible because otherwise I'm just hoarding material. You know what I mean? And like
For
nobody
real.
knows what I'm doing other than my fucking self.
Mm. With that
But
said, salute to Donnie Menace. He's in the room.
absolutely, no,
Salute,
absolutely, man.
salute to Donnie Menace. And wow, so it was a curse and a blessing. Obviously, right?
Absolutely, man. Like I
Bro.
would have never pushed myself as much as I did, even down to like when job shit fell through and like, even that shit started affecting like the working man. Bro, I made so much to actually sustain myself in the
Hmm.
sense of like literally paid commissions, like people that wanted to just, like literally just verse work. I had a dude that tried to hit me up for a whole project that wound up pulling some funny shit. So I even took a motherfucker's money for trying to be funny. Like I don't even know what else to say, bro. But like I swear to God, I would have never seen the hustler of a musician
Hmm.
until unless
Until
this
the pandemic came.
literally. As much as I hate the shit that came attached to it, like it truly birthed the hustler that I needed to be at that time.
Mm. Well, that's a beautiful thing because, it's said that you really find out what you're made of when it's shitty out. When it's sunny out, everybody's good. When it's shitty out and when there's storms and, when all that comes, that's when you really know what your metal is, right?
Hmm.
So that's great. You've kept on being creative, which is a need because you'd probably fucking go nuts and end up, I don't know, doing some
Absolutely.
crazy shit.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't want. Nobody wants that.
Yeah,
The world
nobody,
got too
nobody.
much. World got
Yeah,
too much chaos right now for another motherfucker in the mix. So.
we don't need no mass shooters. We got enough of those dudes. So, now that we're here, we're almost at the end of the year. 2020 is about to come to a close. Thank fucking God, right?
Hmm.
Let's say spring, summertime, we get some semblance of normalcy. What is going to be the first things that you try to accomplish if that happens? Is it going to be shows, or is it going to be product, or is it going to be both?
So it's gonna always be a mix of both, but throughout this thing, like one of the things that my whole group we've been like literally just laughing like nah 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 with the whole underground rap world, right? And it's like you got these motherfuckers that are literally rushing to just go to any fucking show as possible because
Right.
of how much they've been cooped up, not realizing that this actually helped their exclusiveness.
Exactly.
I mean, so it's like with all the shit that I've done through my bedroom, like even just around like my studio and all this other shit, like in my motherfucking bedroom, as far as like where the mic stuff is and all that other stuff right now. Like watching what I was able to make and accomplish from a fucking bedroom, I don't even have the same desire that I used to as far as chasing the shows and wanting to be out there because that was an outlet to me at one point.
Right.
It's like, granted, it still is. But once I see like what I'm getting more of, like opposed to like I was literally rushing out and like trying to be this guy at any of the dive bar show or like be an opener and stuff like that. Like I'm gonna be the point. So I'm to the point where motherfuckers will be opening for me come
Right.
next year, the year after, or whatever the fuck. But that's the whole mindset. I don't need that same shit that the average dreamer, I would say,
Right.
had once they got into music. Because like, especially even down to just the health concerns, no matter what you might think as far as like which side, whether it's fake or not, yada yada yada. Like, I'm not about to risk nobody in my circle, within my family, within my loved ones, especially if it's not putting the bread in the family's account,
For
like what
sure.
I'm in my fucking bedroom studio was doing.
Right.
But I mean, like, I have no sense of like wanting to dip myself out there and subject myself to that shit anymore. You know what I mean? Like, if I do a show, motherfuckers will have searched me out or will see that worth it, other than what I've already proved on the stage. You know what I mean?
All right. Salute to Desmond checking in the show all the way from Florida.
Hey,
Salute, brother. We see you. Well, I want to say I respect that. I think that this has definitely put you in the pocket where you need to be, and I think it helped you realize your talent even more. You have your studio set up at your fingertips, and the creativeness is just going to continue to flow, and it's also helped you to see things from a different perspective, right? So I think that's amazing. A lot of people don't take the time to sit back and go, hey, you know what? Even though this is the situation, I'm gonna make lemonade, right? I'm gonna do something like this, and have my outlet and continue to do what I love to do. I'm just not gonna fuck around with that other shit, and like you said, put yourself in jeopardy.
hell no. Hell no. And that's the whole shit I don't understand with the battle culture to a degree. I'm like, y'all are just putting yourselves out there.
Wait, they still doing shit?
Huh?
The battles are still on?
Oh, absolutely. People have still been doing that. If you look up, like I said, URL and all these other shit, and mind you, to a degree, when you get to a certain level within battling, you got people in URL that are getting paid like
Oh yeah,
tens of thousands of dollars
yeah.
to fucking 6 minutes of material.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying, which is beautiful, and I give those dudes the most utmost respect as far as like being able to get that. So if that's your bread and butter, whatever,
Right.
you at least got that.
Right.
Like when you motherfuckers are out there and literally, like I said, I'm just this buffet for the fucking world. Like as an entertainer, that's what we are. You know what I mean? Like we're these
Right.
that the whole world just gets to fucking,
Right.
whether you got people that'll bite your shit, you got people that'll be influenced but not tell anybody, and like have that like silent shit where they're not putting you out, and all that goes, But like to sit there and like risk my whole image for no other fucking return is like
Yes,
bull.
sir.
And like that's what I mean. Even down to when you get to the shows, if you're seeing that you're the livest motherfucker on them shows, because I'm not even trying to be that toot my own horn shit right now, but beat motherfucker, like straight up. Like I've been in these shows where I've like revived it.
Okay.
actually revived the fucking building of people just sitting at the fucking wall on their phones, like just texting their lady or whatever the fuck. Like, yo, I just want to get the fuck out of here. Support shit is keeping me held hostage. Like, they actually did what the fuck they paid for at the damn door. You know what I mean? Like, once I seen that I'm doing too much of that, but they still wanted me to open up or be a fucking little dude, like, you know, something. You know, pay me for what I'm worth. That's all it is, man. I'm not about to be your fucking wild card that you just throw in there to fucking revive your shitty show. You're fucking pocketing all this shit as a janky ass promoter. Like, yeah, I had to nip that shit straight in the fucking butt. And I'm just happy as hell that the whole team is on the same page, man. Like, real shit.
Salute. Well, it's good. I'd say that it's a great thing when you have your team focus on the same goal and everybody understands that, and they're in lockstep, if you would. They understand what everybody is trying to do. So the mission doesn't need to be communicated. Everybody's moving on the same page, right? And that's what makes for solid teams, is that teamwork, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So I know everybody's watching. This is Mr. James Joyce, the elusive scumbag, joining me, Mr. A, at the set. And right now I'm going to play a little Nosy Perez.
Hey.
Mr. James Joyce is an artist, and I'm sure everybody watching the show has been a little curious, because I know I've been. My next question is rapping and beat making your only talent? Because if everybody is like me, you're noticing those pictures in the background that look like they're hand drawn. So who did those?
No, that's her name is Allison Jordan. Fucking phenomenal.
Say it again. What's the name?
Allison Jordan, yo. Like, I got to meet her off of Instagram because, like, that's one of my favorite things about that platform specifically.
Okay.
The artists that are on that shit are fucking, like, it is endless.
Wow.
But this is somebody that I actually got to see out of Connecticut.
Okay.
Fucking, yeah, phenomenal artwork, man. Like, I gotta actually get this goddamn TV on. Give me 1 second. But, like, we got this joint right here.
All right.
Some, like, earthy mushroom shit. Excuse the whole Hulu and all this shit from the Smart TV.
That works.
But, yeah, man. And, she, everything, like I said, hand done. It's just fucking phenomenal, yo. Like, she'll be doing a lot of my upcoming work. I got set for these 2 new projects before I got the group shit. And, well, definitely, you'll be seeing a lot of her artwork within my realm. You know what I mean?
That's what's up.
Yeah, man. Like, dude, this whole shit, like I said, I just want to be an entertainer. So if it's comedy, if I can make a motherfucker laugh, which I have done, you know what I'm saying? It works. You know, I know it works. If I could make some people vibe off with some music, be inspired through that shit, it works, man. Like, if I could get into fucking acting, I definitely want to do it. You know, like, this is all within the realms of art, you know, within entertainment.
Being a creative.
Exactly, man. Like, trust, the same way that we've done this as a song and write songs, people are writing fucking music video scripts or fucking movie scripts. Like, once they start doing music videos and shit, like, once you've seen how certain people have branched off just from one art to the other and made themselves iconic because of it, you know, that's how you really become a household name, man. Like, a motherfucker like Prince, man. Like, like, anybody in the world, right, can sit there and look at Prince. You got this tiny, flamboyant ass dude rocking shit that your lady would rock, but can fuck your girl at the same damn time. Who can do every instrument that you could possibly think of. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are up the echelon at that motherfucking point. Like, that's just what I want to be. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want a limitation. I don't want none of that shit. I just want to do what I love, which is entertain.
But you're not gonna wear the ice skating pants with the boots sewn in, right?
Oh, hell no! You know, I'm
too tall for that.
Yeah, I'm a hairy and more grizzly individual, and leather and tight shit like that don't rock well with us people. You know?
Well, people, he mentions a legend in Prince, and I've had conversations with with friends and just, random people regarding Prince's approach to his art. And why is it that I'll criticize one guy who wears tights but never see anything about Prince? And what you said was 100% correct, because Prince was truly an artist through and through. One. Two, the man's talent was just, when I was a fan in the 80s when he came out, a good friend of mine, we were both fans of his, and we would read up on him. And at that moment in the 80s, he had enough material in the vault to release 12 albums. That was his second year.
He owned all of it. That's the best thing I've been trying to tell. That motherfucker denied Nas because he didn't own his own music. You know what I mean? Like, I only fuck with people that own their own music, yo. Like, it's it's truly inspiring to see that kind of shit. And when you see that, talent is literally maximum override.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, like, I will sit there and bump a motherfucker that, like, we joke about, rocks these girl ass clothes, and he could fucking play guitar, drums, and all this other shit better than anybody that you put against me if I had to fucking bet him against your musical preference.
I got this one. Put it this way. You don't know anybody that plays the oboe. Right? You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And Prince played the fucking oboe. And for people who don't know what the oboe, go look it up, because this is a dope instrument and it has a crazy sound. But Prince was that dude. And that's the only reason I would look past that, because the man was an artist, and he wasn't trying to be with no dudes. He was, bro, do you understand? I know we're getting off a topic here, people, but let me get this out the way. Prince used to chase dancers, professional dancers, ballet dancers and show dancers. And they asked him one time, like, yo, what's up with you? You always dating? He's like, yeah, I'm always dating dancers. You see how limber they are? Prince was like 4'10".
You can't match that. You can't match that, yo.
He was a G. He was a G. Rest in peace to Prince. For real. All right, let me kill the sidetrack. So we're reaching the end. So this is the point where I usually say, the floor is yours. I want you to just, speak your mind and say whatever it is that you want to say to sort of close out the show, and also promote anything that you want to promote that's coming up in the near future. Mm-hmm. And not even. The floor is yours.
So you rocking with Mr. A in the set. That's all I gotta say from the beginning to start this off. Fucking, if you're looking for quality, dark, universal music, then definitely make sure that you start looking up James Joyce and Squatch on all your platforms. Like Instagram, James Joyce _the Squatch, and whatever the hell else I'll get you involved with. But if you want quality scumbag, just dark artwork, then rock with your boy. You know what I'm saying? And you'll see everything as far as battles and all that other shit on our side. Nightbreed is the definite team. So please make sure you rocking with Dent One, Beast behind the beats, the artwork, all that shit. Donnie Menace, same shit, man. Fucking nasty with the beats to his fucking raps. Cheddar, comedy, fucking masterpieces. Like, just make sure that you got it from the set and you continue it from after that. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only thing I gotta say, man. Just don't overhype. Look into it. That's the only thing I gotta tell you. Just look the fuck into it.
Word up. So, with that being said, Mr. Joyce, I want to say that we appreciate you giving the set your time. I want to wish you all the best in all your endeavors going forward. I'm only expecting the best coming from you because, again, as I said, I recognize your abilities. I think that you're an MC who has so much more time to grow and change and evolve and bring a lot of good product to the table. I hope that in the future, when shit changes up, we can have you back on the show. We could update our guests and let them know what's going on. And hopefully we'll get a little exclusive. We'll get a little, you know, and we'll bring that out here too. Oh, you fainted.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it was a beautiful thing having you on the show, brother. Let's do it again in the near future. Let's catch up. And as soon as you drop something, I would like to get a little email. Drop me a little WAV file or something so I could put it on the side and promote it. All right?
Absolutely. It'd be a pleasure, man. Absolutely.
Wonderful.
I appreciate you looking out and helping us and the brand
course.
Get farther, you know?
Of course. So I'll be speaking to you soon, brother. And stay healthy out there. Watch yourself. Look over your loved ones. And we'll speak in the near future.
Yes, sir. Likewise. And, thank you very much, man. Y'all have a good one.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, the elusive scumbag, Mr. James Joyce. I know a lot of people are probably thrown by that name, but again, check his music out before you judge. Also, I want to shout out, I know it's the end of the show, I want to shout out Mr. Al King. Mr. Al King was on our show, like 2 months ago, before we went on suspension. And Mr. Al King is an author, street entrepreneur. As I understand it, Mr. King has finally opened up his business somewhere up in Harlem. I'm going to post it on the site, but I just wanted to shout him out. Salute to 10403. Glad you home. I hope you continue on with your journey of getting healthy. A lot of people missed you out here, so keep doing what you're doing, brother. I hope to speak to you. As you know, you can get on your phone and come on the set. Also, I just wanted to give a special shout out to my wife, who's been very supportive about me shooting the show at home. Very helpful. She's been taking care of your boy. So I just wanted to say that I appreciate you and thank you for always helping and making things happen. So I hope everybody can join us come this Wednesday. As I stated earlier, this Wednesday, we're going to have Chef Jay Martinez from Jungle Bird. This young man's story is amazing. I hope everybody could join us for that. And then Sunday, November 15th at 7:30 p.m., let's talk about cannabis with Chef Swan and Mark Alfinez. Come check it out. It's going to be a great show, a lot of information. And who knows, maybe you get a new recipe. Maybe you'll learn something you didn't know before about cannabis. Maybe you'll be able to get that gout out your feet or that pain off your back. Whatever it is, come check us out. So, as always, live the life you love the life you live. I'm Mr. A. I'll see you guys on Wednesday.